Hey everybody, it's Paul here from Tribal Triathlete. Last week we looked at healthy strength for swimmers, and this week we're gonna change tack to cycling and how kind of you can structure your strength work to make sure that you stay healthy, even though you may be doing plenty of miles on the bike. So first off, why cycling have a negative effect on your posture in a similar way to what we spoke about with swimming last week? Well, it's all to do with position when you're cycling. And the sort of position that it gets you into. So as you can see here, I've got into just a standard cycling posture. When I'm in this shape, you can see that I'm fairly internally rotated at the shoulder and kind of open across my thoracic spine. Now ideally, I'm going to try and keep this great shape the whole time, so my chest is open, my elbows are bent, and there's no weight through the handlebars. But at some point, during a long ride, we're going to lose that shape. We're going to start to kind of internally rotate, and we're going to start to put a little bit too much pressure through the handlebars. Now your focus should always be on getting your weight through the pedal, like we talk about in the members area. You can go and check that out if you want to understand more about cycling technique. But essentially at some point we're going to start loading these handlebars too much. Also, we tend to become anterior chain dominant when we cycle a lot. Now what that means is that our quads and the front side of our body become over dominant, and the back side of our body becomes long and weak. And it's a really common thing that we see, especially when people sit in seated postures for too long. So when I pivot forwards here, you just look where this hip goes. And when I'm at the top of the stroke at 12 o'clock, you can see I'm really closed down here, but it never gets into extension, even when I come all the way down to 6 o'clock. So I never express my hip fully into this fully extended position like I would do if I was in a standing posture. So unfortunately, cycling isn't particularly healthy for that. There's a hell of a lot of kind of back soreness, a lot of knee soreness from losing control of your posterior chain. So the three videos I'm going to do for you this week cover off mobility first, they cover off stability second, and then lastly we'll look at actually some strength exercises that are going to make you better at applying your body weight straight through the pedal. But let's start off with the mobility work. So we're going to keep with the focus. In fact, with what we spoke about last week in the swimming video, you can use those same mobilizations for your shoulder when you've spent a bit of time on the bike. The swimming and the cycling are quite similar like that. We're trying to open up your chest as much as possible and develop a good range overhead. So why don't you use those swimming mobility exercises after you've been on the bike as well. Let's talk today about the hip and how we're going to open up the front side of your body after you've spent a bit of time on the bike. So Luke, you follow me, mate. So we're going to start off with a quick massage, and we're going to focus on one of the main areas that gets really short and tight, and that's going to be the front hip and the quad. Now there's a specific technique for this using a foam roller. Again, this is the grid foam roller, and it's easily available online, okay? We're going to lie over the top of this, so we're going to start by loading your hip onto the roller, like so. We're going to go down onto your elbows, and then the opposite knee is going to come out into like an army crawling position to the side here, or a figure 4 position. Now we're evenly kind of weighted between elbows, into the roller, and on this opposite knee, and you're making sure you look after your lower back. So we're making sure we're not dipping in and compromising your spine. Now from this front hip area, I want you to find the bony part of the front of the hip. I just want you to drop just underneath that, and then from there I just want you to walk forwards. Speed of massage should be about 1 inch per second. I want you to come all the way to the knee. Again, just touch the knee, but don't actually go on top of it. And then roll back again, about 1 inch per second, okay? I want you to keep this nice and gentle to begin. And what you might do is do 6 passes. And with your 6 passes, you'll have 2 straight down the middle like I've just done. And keep it really slow, about that 1 inch per second. And then you're just gonna angle your legs slightly, so you go slightly onto the inside of the quads. You're going to come forwards into the inside of the knee and then back down again. And lastly, I'm just going to turn my back on you slightly. I just want you to get onto the outside edge of the quad and then come all the way to the knee and then all the way back into the front hip again. Now once you've done your 6 passes, then you can think about just starting to focus on the tighter areas. Maybe hang out on something that feels particularly tender. If it does feel tender, it needs the work. So that's great feedback to make sure you're doing the work. Okay, the stretch to pair with this massage. You always do the massage first, work on the pliability of the fascia, and then following that you can do some static work on against the wall. So I'm going to fold up here. We're going to do a half kneeling wall stretch. So I'll make that same leg as I just used on the massage, my focus here. So it's this foot that's going to go up the wall. Now distance of your knee from the wall will vary. As you become more advanced with this and you're more open through the front hip, you can get your knee closer. But I just want you to start about 12 inches away from the wall like so. Okay? Then you're going to stride past with the opposite foot. You can use the roller or just hands flat on the floor on the inside of this foot. Now what you're looking for here is this knee to drive out wide and your hip to drive forwards and down. Now when you're in this bottom position, with your hands down into here, with your chest up and your back flat, we're looking for a bit of a stretch through the top of the hamstring on the front leg, but also a little bit of a pull through the front hip of the back leg. Okay? Now prescription for this is you may stay here for between 1 and 2 minutes. You're just looking for end of range. You're not looking to push past it. I don't want you to get particularly shaky whilst you're doing it or tense. I just want you to maintain relaxation, look for end of range, and just hold there. Okay? Following that, once you've opened up the underside of your hip here, I then want you to transition into upright, and this is where you may need the roller. And what we're trying to do is get into perfect posture with this knee up behind you, okay? So we're looking to tuck tailbone under, lift your chest, and really get into a nice extension, which is the complete opposite to what we've been on the bike. Now again, you might hold this position again for another minute or 2 minutes, and you're really looking to, once you've reached end of range, then just lean back on it slightly, make sure you're tucked under with your tailbone, not too much extension through lumbar spine, really tuck, 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 and wind up this whole area. This is the key, this is the main area we're trying to stretch with this. Okay. So that's your mobility, cycling specific mobility work, excuse me. Hope it helped. Leave your comments below. If you've got any questions, let me know. Thanks a lot. Speak to you later.